Hello everyone, my name is UltimoFive and today we are going to be revisiting the Glaive Prime, the explosive spinner. Glaive Prime is a prime version of Glaive and was released alongside Sycoris Prime and Ember Prime. In order to obtain Glaive Prime, one must open a variety of relics that contain the blueprint, 2 blades, and a disc in order to make it at the foundry. Requires a mastery rank of 10, comes with a V and dash polarity slot along with this a dash stance slot. Because of this, the builds on this weapon require 0 to 3 Forma. And the Glaive Prime excels in close to medium range combat and deals with high leveled enemies of all factions and small to extremely large crowds. The Glaive Prime has a lot of buffs when compared to the original Glaive in different areas. The melee stats would be a higher base damage, a higher critical chance, a higher status chance, and a higher attack speed. For the thrown recall explosion stat buffs, it would be a higher base damage, higher critical chance, higher critical damage, and a higher status chance. Advantages for the weapon would be that it has a high critical chance, a very high status chance, can be wielded in tandem with a single-handed secondary weapon. Holding down melee throws the glaive and when using heavy attacks causes the glaive to explode in a 4.8 meter radius while mid-flight. The thrown glaive is silent when not charged, and has a very fast attack speed. Disadvantages, however, for the weapon would be that explosions from the glaive's thrown heavy attack cause itself stagger, and the player is unable to perform melee attacks or block while glaive is in mid-flight. The elements for the Glaive Prime with the low Forma heavy attack build set will follow Toxin for the Corpus, Ivara Slash for the Corrupted and Grineer, and Gas for the Infested. The build's flex slot for the Corpus will be Virulent Scourge and Prime Pressure Point for the Corrupted and Grineer and Infested factions. This build set focuses on doing as much damage as possible to enemies without having to use any Forma. In turn, the next build set does a lot more damage and can deal with extremely late game, but this build is enough for those who just want to complete the star chart in the Steel Path. The elements for the Glaive Prime with the massive damage heavy attack build set will follow Toxin for all factions with their designated Prime Smite faction mod. The build's flex slots are the Prime Smite faction mods or Prime Pressure Point, but honestly I wouldn't change much in the build set. This build set can do outrageous amounts of damage in which, like I said before, can go into extreme late game without much of any issue at all. The only way I think it could be better is if one had a Riven mod for the glaive that gives initial combo, critical damage, and melee damage to replace Prime Pressure Point. The elements for the Glaive Prime with the non-thrown build set will follow Toxin for the Corpus, Viral for the Corrupted and Grineer, and Heat or Gas for the Infested. The build's flex slots are Primed Reach for the Corpus and Heat Infested builds, and the build's Prime Faction mod for all factions. The build set focuses on normal melee attacking and not on heavy attacks. It works pretty good, but due to its short range it desperately needs Primed Reach in order to make it truly effective into the Steel Path. This is done in the Infested, Heat, and Corpus builds, but it is hard to put into the Corrupted and Grineer builds unless one takes out Viral to put in Primed Reach and Gladiator Might. An extra flex slot. Through the utilization of Arcane Strike, a player can flex out Berserker Fury for any mod of their choosing. This is due to how the Arcane functions with giving bonus attack speed upon hitting an enemy. Sacrificial Pressure in place of Prime Pressure Point to further increase damage for the thrown build sets. This will however cost at least 1 Umber Forma. True Steel in place of Sacrificial Steel if one doesn't have it. Pressure Point in place of Prime Pressure Point if one doesn't have it. Smite faction mods in place of their Prime counterparts if one doesn't have them. Prime Fury or Quickening in place of Berserker Fury if one would like flat attack speed instead of stacking attack speed, or want combo count chance. Primed Reach in place of the build's flex slot if one would want more range on the weapon. Volatile Quick Return in place of Power Throw in the massive damage thrown build set for those who would like a bigger blast radius instead of stacking throw damage. And Gladiator Rush or Drifting Contact in place of the build's flex slot if one doesn't have a Naramon focus or can't handle the combo chain duration. There are several ways to enhance critical stats and damage for this weapon. For instance, for damage, Rhino's Roar, Valkyrie's Warcry which bolsters attack speed in turn increasing DPS, Nova's Molecular Prime which makes all sources of damage increase by 100% against primed enemies, Saren's Toxic Lash mixed with her Spores abilities, Mirage's Eclipse mixed with her Hall Mirrors adds a massive damage bonus during the day or in light, Equinox's Rest and Rage in Dayform makes targets more vulnerable to damage, Wisp's Haste Reservoir which bolsters attack speed in turn increasing DPS, Volt's Speed bolsters attack speed in turn increasing DPS, Zeta's Whisper which grants Void status and increases weapon damage, and Chroma's Vex Armor with health cast damage increases weapon damage. For critical stats, Harrow's Covenant can add up to 50% critical chance and 200% on headshots. Frost's passive with his Biting Frost augmentation grants a 200% increase to critical chance and critical damage upon attacking frozen enemies. Zephyr's passive increases critical chance by 150% while airborne. The Adarza Combat with Cat's Eye can give a 60% critical chance boost, and the Samita Combat with Charm can give a 200% crit chance. Arcane Strike. On hit, 15% chance for 60% attack speed and melee weapons for 18 seconds, which is only really effective for the non-thrown build set. Arcane Fury. On critical hit, 60% chance for 180% melee damage to melee weapons for 18 seconds. Arcane Blade Charger. On primary weapon kill, 30% chance for 300% melee damage for 12 seconds. When you get your hands on a Riven for this weapon, the flex slot to replace will be what was previously discussed before. This can require one more Forma, and in order to maximize damage output with Glaive Prime, we'll need to get lucky and get some nice stats. My ideal stats for the non-thrown build set would be critical chance, critical damage, melee damage, and negative finisher damage. For the thrown build sets, my ideal stats would be initial combo, critical damage, melee damage, and negative finisher damage. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more guides on Warframe, please click the like and sub buttons to let me know. And as per usual, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.